If you were to ask me what my biggest gripe with Monster Rancher 2 is, a game that I consider nigh perfect, it would be that you can't actually mix every monster with every other monster. There's 38 main breed monsters in the game, yet there's only about 415 monsters you can actually raise, which means there's about 1,000 leftover combinations that weren't put in the game. Now, I don't fault anyone for this, that's a lot of work, and games have deadlines, but that deadline passed 25 years ago, so now we're in the realm of just, I guess we gotta do it ourselves. Enter the More Monsters mod. This is a mod that's easily downloadable, easily installable, and easy to work on yourself. We as a community, and that means you as well, are working collaboratively to add those 1,000 missing monsters into Monster Rancher 2. If you're artistic and you want to get involved, or maybe, you're just curious, or you're like me and have no, visual arts skill, but do know your way around Photoshop, we would love to have you involved. When I'm not doing tournaments over the last couple of streams, I've been working on some of this stuff live, and today I'm going to show you how you can do this yourself. This isn't my mod, I wasn't the first person to work on it, I'm certainly not going to be the last person to work on it, and just like everything else in the community, it is a group effort to bring this to life. I wouldn't make the video in the first place if he had uploaded this to YouTube or something, but he didn't, so here we go. Thank you, Tioch. Tioch is a member of the community who's been making videos forever. He's been making videos longer than I have. And he put together this little guide, which he has annotated very well, to show you how to get started on editing monsters of your own. First off, and the reason I can't do this myself is because I'm not downloading a second copy of the game. He already has it. We're not dealing with it. First thing you have to do is you have to find in your Steam apps Monster Farm 2. So Steam apps, Common, Monster Farm DX, Monster Farm 2. There will be Monster Farm 1 and Monster Farm 2. You gotta find this first. Go to your resources folder, you go to data folder, and then you're gonna see data.bin. This is all the info that the game reads to, function as a video game. You're gonna wanna download 7-zip if you don't have it already. WinRAR is kinda tricky with this. It wasn't working for me, but basically you need some sort of unzipper, any kind of program that will unzip a larger folder. And this brings us to the funniest bit of this. Now, we figured out what this password was very quickly, and all of the mods that function for Monster Rancher 2 work because we know this password. How do we figure out the password? We literally guessed, day one. Because the password is Koei Tecmo Monster Farm 1 and 2. Anyway, it's going to extract all this stuff. Cool. And you're going to open the MF2 file, data, and go down to Mon. And what this is folders of textures for every single monster in the game. It starts with Pixie. It goes through Dragon, yada yada yada, all the way down to Naga at the very bottom. An important thing to keep in mind when you're working on these monsters is monsters that have a K denoting the beginning of the file folder name are monsters that have a different model for each individual monster. So things like Golem, who's right here, or Beaklon, who is right here. Every single one of, or most of, their subbreeds have their own individual model, which makes it very hard to just kind of copy and paste from one to the other. You'll have to keep that in mind when you're using something as a base. If a monster is in a folder that starts with M, every single subbreed has the exact same model on it. So something like Mochi, all Mochis have a horn, and they all have wings. And then just through transparency, the wings are removed or the horn is removed. Stuff like that. And Tioch has gone out of his way to be very helpful here. They're all named. If you don't want to keep looking at this video to figure out which monster is named here, it's also listed on Legend Cup. But it goes through all of them. Inside each folder, you're going to see a whole bunch of different files here, and it's pretty complicated. But not really, because what you're going to see here is the first two letters of a monster. If we go back a little bit, it's the first two letters of whatever folder they're in. So let's say hair would be MC. MC only denotes hair and no other monster. You can come in here and you can combine. So MM is Suezo, MC is hair. This is the texture for Suezo hair. So that's simple. And then you'll see MMMC.texture and MMMC.BT.texture. BT is textures that happen within battle. So this includes things like particle effects that are spawned, and the portrait for the monster when it does the tail of the tape. All of those little things are in the BT folder for each individual monster. So how do you extract this? We're in the guts of the game, but .tex is not like a thing you can just throw in Photoshop and edit. We need to download the Tim Builder. I'm going to put a link to that in the description, and it's very simple. You literally just download it, you open it up, and then there's 4 steps. You import, you export, you import, you export. Very simple. So when you import a Tim, you find the file you want to use as a reference. So he's going to open Suezo, and then he's going to export the PNG here. So Archbishop Dave, who this is the brainchild of, he's the one who put all of this into motion, separated all of the maps for each of the textures for every monster in the game. So when you do this, what it's going to do is it's going to send you a transparent PNG of the monster. It's going to have a little map, and the map, because it's separated, is very easy to understand. You can just put it in Paint, you can put it in whatever you want. I wouldn't actually put it in Paint because Paint sometimes has issues with transparency, but if you got Photoshop or Photopea or, you know, whatever else you're using, it's that simple. So right now what he's doing is he's taking textures from Hanger and overlaying them on the map of Suezo. Now, this is done as just an example. You can get like really creative with this and like make your own textures. No one's gonna stop you. But the textures that are already in the game are a pretty good starting point for a lot of these monsters. So you save it as a new PNG, and then you go back to the Tim Builder. If you've closed it, I normally don't, but if you have closed it, what you want to do is you want to first import the Tim for the monster you want to save over. In this case, it's Suezo. And then you import the PNG you want to assign to that model. So now the game thinks this new Suezo Hanger mixed breed is the real texture for Suezo. The last step you do is you convert it back from a PNG to a text with this. You can overwrite an existing file so that the game will load the monster. Look at that. You can overwrite anything, but normally I tend to overwrite the same monster I've been working on just so I don't get confused. And then if you go to the shrine and you make that monster, in this case Suezo Pixie, you'll get the edited monster. Now just remember that saving over that new texture will actually erase the old one. So if you don't want to have to message people on Discord and get them to send you original files, because I've had to do this a couple of times, make sure you make a copy of the thing you're saving over first, so whenever you're done, you can revert that back to a Suezo Pixie the same way. Now obviously, this is just making skins for the sake of making skins, but it doesn't really add Suezo Hanger to the game as is, right? This is just a reskin. It looks cool, but it doesn't function like Suezo Hanger. It doesn't have Suezo Hanger stat gains, or its guts regeneration rate, or any of that fun stuff. And that's where the More Monsters mod comes in. Archbishop Dave, who started this mod and made that tool we just used, has a Google form where you can submit the new textures you've made, and once a week on Friday, he's going to update the mod and add in stuff that people make. Now, I urge you, if you're going to work on this, you don't need to be the most skilled person in the world, you don't need to be the most artistic, but you should probably try, because, you know, as time goes on, right now we still have 900 monsters we need to enter into the game. If you just slap something together and put it in, cool, that's fine, but you have to be okay with it. You know, maybe it's a placeholder. Maybe someone's gonna come along and make something better as time progresses. So, I don't want this to dissuade you, but I do hope that if you are going to put a little work into this project, you actually, you know, put a little bit of work into this project. And then if you want to play with these new monsters, Legend Cup has you covered. Under Guides and Monster Rancher 2, there is an entire page of mods that not only has every mod that has been publicly shared listed with links to them, it also has step-by-step instructions on how to use Reloaded 2, which is the app you use to actually install these mods. We're not going to go step-by-step on how to get Reloaded running because, you know, it's kind of self-explanatory. But if you ever have any questions, the Discord is more than willing to help you out. And starting soon, you know, I'm going to set up a little form for this so you can submit. We're going to have a contest to see who comes up with the best monster before the end of September. It's really easy to just kind of put something together, but I'm mostly interested in some new ideas that you guys can come up with. If you take a look at things with a dragon subbreed in the game, not every dragon subbreed in the game looks the exact same. Dragon Centaur has like a very deep crimson type of colorway with a white chest, and then you compare it to something like Draco Hopper, who is really like veiny and kind of like nightmarish. You can tell they're both a dragon. They both read as dragon, but they don't look similar. You can get really creative with it. So we'll be running a contest. We'll have some judges. I want to have prizes for best execution, so like the actual model, and best concept if you came up with something, but you know, maybe the monster was limited, or maybe you don't necessarily have the skills to make it a reality. But either way, I'll have more info on that in the coming weeks. Tonight I got a tournament, but tomorrow we're going to be doing some more modding. Right now I'm working on Gel Durahan. I think it looks kind of cool. Still a lot of work to do though. Anyway, thanks guys for watching this. I hope you get involved. This is sick. This is the coolest thing that happened to Monster Rancher in a very long time.